2025 marks the 10-year anniversary of Knights of the Slice, and I'm going to attempt to do the impossible. I'm going to condense the entire decade of KOTS storytelling in a very short, succinct video. Wish me luck. A fair warning, this video will contain spoilers for storytelling up until December 2024. There will be no mention of any stories 2025 and beyond. Our tale begins in 1984 when conglomerate Fwends Incorporated relaunches the ancient order of the Knights of the Slice to act as modern-day mascots and bodyguards for their franchise, Pizza Shunt. Throughout history, the Knights of the Slice acted as sentinels guarding citizens' most precious resource, food. Now they're being rebranded as kids' meals, toys, and Saturday morning cartoon heroes. This corporate initiative portends the Food Wars, which broke out shortly thereafter. Worldwide scarcity begins and the formation of mega corporations are permitted to combat starvation. CEOs are hailed as saviors, but which segments of the global population they choose to actually save is a question no one asks for decades. It's around this time the first Knight of the Slice is maimed in battle. His face is melted off during a mission and his position is terminated to avoid the huge medical bills Fwends would have to pay. The first knight swears revenge. BLT Arc. Now it's the future. Food delivery, once an accessible job for students and immigrants, becomes the world's most dangerous profession. It's a luxury only the rich can afford, and it is prone to hijacking. Soon, private military contractors begin making tactical deliveries with heavily armored vehicles. Lime and Brick are two Fwends employees who meet a spirited cosplayer aiming to become a Knight of the Slice. After the trio defeat Head of Tank and his Robots Who Wear Clothes gang, Teal officially joins Knights of the Slice. Teal learns about the mythical city of Atlantis and that a race from beyond gifted a pizza recipe that grants immense powers. This is where the Knight of the Slice derive their heightened senses and strength. Skull Grimson, a warlord whose gang dresses skeletons to emulate their hunger. Teal kills the villain despite the Knights of the Slice having a pledge to only use non-lethal means to resolve problems. This creates a friction between Teal and Lime, although Fred, the mysterious owner of Fred Food Inc., sees a different opportunity. Teal is given a secret side quest on the next mission, but before he can fulfill it, he's abducted by a mysterious craft. Brick and Lime return to the Pizza Shunt HQ, but Teal is missing in action. A furious Lime confronts Fred, but ultimately backs down when his employment is threatened. Shortly thereafter, anomalies start happening. Vector Arc. Vector jumpers, travelers from different times and dimensions, start appearing around the globe. Fred quickly shifts focus to anticipate and intercept these events in hope of duplicating their technology. It's a success, and the Knights of the Slice begin traveling through the Vector to make deliveries instantaneously. This maximizes profits in a way that were never before thought possible. Many Knights start getting upgraded Vector jump armor. Think of the Vector as a giant highway of capillaries and off-ramps that connect every world to each other. It's around this time construction begins on Sub-City, a floating research facility partially funded by Fwends. Shortly thereafter, the first Knight reappears with a new moniker, Death Knight. He is defeated handily several times, but finally emerges fused with an ancient entity called the Chaos King. In a showdown at a soda factory, Lime sacrifices his life to defeat the merged Death/Chaos being. The Knights of the Slice sputter around without a leader for several months. Brick eventually tracks down a former military type, Rex Gannon, to act as interim leader. Rex, a veteran of Space Force, had a catastrophic injury on Mars that left him with a hyper chest. Rex gets on board just in time. Teal returns, leading an extraterrestrial army of Rift Killers to strike back at Fwends and planet Earth. Rift Killers are a microbial hive mind intelligence that pilot gigantic suits of space junk. Rex, wearing an armor powered by an AI simulacrum of Lime, puts up a worthy fight but is ultimately defeated by Teal. But with his Rift Killers scattered and separated from their leader, Teal chooses retreat. The Lime AI requests to be terminated and an injured Rex Gannon obliges. After his defeat, Fwends directs a manipulation of the Vector to bring in heroes from the medieval ages, the Old Knights. With these historical allies, the remaining Rift Killers are beaten back. It is theorized the meddling by Fwends of the Vector space-time continuum triggered 3 anomaly events. They are as follows. Anomaly event number 1. The presence is detected of the Courager, a seemingly mortal human who is somehow able to exist and thrive inside the deadly Vector. Anomaly event number 2, the mysterious discovery of the capsules, artifacts which appear to be technologically advanced, yet somehow existed before written history. Each capsule seems to be infused with a specific power, with the opening of certain ones potentially triggering further anomalies. Anomaly event number 3, the appearance of the ancient automaton race known as the Microbes. While their original interactions with humans are benevolent, the Microbes are eventually corrupted by entering the Gold Apotheosis capsule. This acts as the catalyst to what some people call the Hyper event. A brief detour. It's around the time of these events that mercenary and former partner of Rex Gannon, von Braun, comes into contact with none other than the mummified remains of Alexander of Macedon, or, as he's more commonly known, Alexander the Great. Vaughn is transformed by this meeting, granted the mysterious Frankenslice ability, which allows his limbs and body parts to be interchanged with machinery with a mere thought. Eventually, a fissure erupts in this relationship, and Vaughn traps Alexander in his tomb and escapes back to the real world. As soon as he does, his powers diminish. The Device Ninja. Device Ninja cyborgs begin to appear as an antagonistic force against the Knights of the Slice. A product of a lethal Japanese technology, Device Ninjas are tasked with uprooting Fwends' stranglehold on the US and global food markets. They do this through their own ramen chain. Circling back around, the Hyper event, arguably considered to be the 4th anomaly, is the merging of the worlds with our Earth and that alternate Earth of the Hyper Knights. In their world, Hyper Knights are the equivalent of the Order of the Knights of the Slice. Instead of being a non-lethal security force, Hyper Knights make up a standing army of the totalitarian ruler called the Trilobite King. A mix of human and cybernetic parts, Hyper Knights are trained from birth to be warriors. With their exposure to our Earth culture, they slowly start to desire life outside of the Trilobite King's reign. A small contingency of the initial evasion force break off and seek asylum with the Knights of the Slice. The Cyber Mama. The defecting Hyper Knights and Knight of the Slice come to find an ally in an unusual place. Cyber Mama, nicknamed Sima, appears to be a veteran of the food wars turned bartender, but she's actually a spy master utilizing the popular massive online role-playing game Vector World as a means for collecting compromat and Oppo research. Living many lives in each of these known dimensions, her knowledge is vast and valuable. Sima also has a mysterious caster ability, which allows her to create synthetic life in the Vector and bring it over into our dimension. A favorite pastime of Sima is to create the Bugmen, loyal servants made to emulate her childhood drawings. Their worship of Sima knows no end, and they are eager to sacrifice their lives in her name. Unfortunately, every time Sima creates a Bugman, it also inadvertently creates a Q, a twisted female version of the Bugman, all sworn to kill Sima. Despite multiple offers, she never officially joins Knight of the Slice, although she does enjoy hefty contracts paid from Fed Foods Inc. to her for the services of general intelligence gathering. It is revealed Sima is the daughter of the Courager, who also shares the caster ability. The Courager embarked on a mission to bring about the destruction of the Trilobite King with the Killbit sword, the only known weakness the king has. Sadly, the sword was proven to be a phony, and Sima finds his dead body on the world of Downstar. Radic. The Vector detective, Radic started his life as an 8-bit video game mini-boss. His basic code was saved and later reused in the internet era of gaming, essentially making him timeless. He lives within the Vector and has found ways to travel into different dimensions by using their gaming or internet infrastructure. While he may not have a corporeal body in our plane of existence, he has a very mortal fear of deactivation. And does that not make him human? An ally to Rex and the Knight of the Slice, Radic is closest with Cybermama, as the two enjoy working together on espionage missions. He will have a hefty role to play later on. The importance of Mars. While our world and the Trilobite Kingdom are separate planes of existence, there is one focal point that crosses over and exists simultaneously in both worlds: Mars. With the vector anomalies rupturing the sealed doors between our worlds, Hyperknights flood into Mars under the command of the ruthless Martu. His brother, Marson, is the head interrogator of the Trilobite King. Marson will also have a bigger role to play later on. Turbo Atoll. Now in charge of the Knights of the Slice, Rex is dispatched on a mission from Fred to travel to the island nation of Turbo Atoll and preside over the hover capsule races. Sima will be the lead racer, with Vaughn in attendance for muscle and moral support. Now that their existence is known in our world, the Trilobite Kingdom is invited to the races, and they send their emissary, Marson. Marson claims to want peace between the two worlds. Rex is tasked with keeping an eye on Marson and neutralizing him if necessary. During this mission, Sima is injured by a device ninja, and Rex gets acquainted with Princess Jasmine, and so does Vaughn. Also introduced are the Hackermen, massive zombie-like thugs created from the metadata of earthly horror movies. Marson tries to win the race by cheating, then attempts to kill Rex, but ultimately is slain by Vaughn. The Alexander Trilogy. It's around this time Alexander reappears, commandeering an ancient floating pyramid from present-day Albania. With a desire to once again rule the world, he starts to build a new Olympus by inviting warriors from across the globe to join him. One such warrior goes by the name Azulado, and we later find out this is actually Teal in disguise. Many heroes answer Alexander's call. This includes Hera, who is a secret spy from Fred Foods, and she eventually falls for Alexander. It is also discovered Fred Foods had purchased a chalice of Alexander's many years ago at auction and used trace DNA to clone Alexander into their first knight, who would later be known as Death Knight, who ironically joins Alexander, although it's very complicated. Rex is taken in by Beowulf, the leader of a mercenary group called Der Verbraten, or the Burned. Much to his surprise, he learns that Jessica, Vaughn's ex-wife, is also part of the group. With Vaughn missing, Rex and Jessica fall in love. Alexander faces off against Beowulf, as it's revealed both have been fighting each other for centuries in seemingly eternal combat. Vaughn reappears leading a team of sub-city refugees. Oh yeah, that got blown up. Beowulf is slain, and Vaughn nearly kills Rex when he learns about his relationship with Jessica. Alexander is mortally wounded by a plesiosaur, yes, you heard that correctly, and enters the Apotheosis capsule and merges with Hera, stealing away her ichor. This event causes the vector pathways to shatter completely, sealing off all of the worlds from one another. Rex and his friends escaped. The Burned retreat to fight another day. Pangea Island. There's a whole island of dinosaurs and ancient creatures that live alongside modern yet primitive people, and while it's cool, we don't have any time to talk about that. Moving on. Sima again. The bug world Sima created erupts into civil war. Feeling abandoned by Sima, the Q lead a charge to find and kill their creator. The majority of the bugmen stand by their absent maker. Verkil, the Trilobite King's spy master, makes an offer to Night Bugman to end the brutal war in exchange for the life of Sima. Night Bugman assassinates Sima, sending Radic into a spiral. He eventually tracks down Night Bugman and avenges Sima. The death of Rex. The Burned, who have headquarters in a freaking iceberg, are now led by Beowulf's estranged wife Kiko, and she decides to take Rex, Vaughn, and Jessica on a day trip to smooth over some tensions. Rex is abducted by goons from the Black Satellite, a CIA offshoot that lives on a hidden space station where nothing can interfere with their sick research. The Black Satellite is responsible in part for the creation of the Gauss armor, an incredible fusion of Earth tech and alien discovery. Offered the gig of a lifetime, Rex ponders joining the Black Satellite. Just kidding, he ignites the entire space station and blows them all to hell. In his grief, Radic accepts an offer from Alexander to join his pantheon and bring order to the world. In secret, Alexander has also started communing with the Trilobite King and succumbs to the trilification process, a type of parasitic body modification. Radic excels at fighting for Alexander and even captures him a precious Gauss armor battlesuit. With this gift, Earth will stand no chance. Before Alexander can use it, Hera, who is now disembodied from Alexander's leeching of her ichor, convinces Radic of the Conqueror's treachery. Radic is defeated, and while being drained by Alexander and turned into a zombie, Hera possesses the Gauss armor and blasts Alexander. The two flee, and Alexander's current whereabouts are unknown. Spice Fleet. A science-based armada of Hyperknights serving not only the Trilobite King, but also exploration itself. Spice Fleet does not seek violence, although they aren't shy about indulging in it either. On one such mission, a mysterious partial Gauss armor is discovered. Inside is Rex Gannon. Obligated to turn him over to Count Virkil for immediate interrogation, the crew instead decide to return Rex to the Burned. In exchange, they seek asylum on Earth. While he's rebuilt and fused to the Gauss armor, Rex seems different, and there is some question as to the authenticity of our hero. Before more tests can be done, the Virkil Ghoul assassins invade, but Rex helps repel them. He then resumes his place amongst his old friends. There are rumors the vector pathways have slowly started to be repaired, opening the possibility of resuming travel to different dimensions. If you like these stories, you can also check out additional stories that may or may not be connected to the world of Knights of the Slice. Galator. Predating Knights of the Slice by a few years, Galator tells the tale of Byron Albergado as he engages in hand-to-hand combat far across the galaxy. The Jagged Age. Cray Drake tries to survive in the treacherous kingdom of Nosfera in a fantastical, early modern setting of knights, creatures, and cannonballs. The Most Toys presents Mofos. Men of felonious occupation, low-life assassins resurrected to continue killing and dying in an eternal loop. But hey, they get a nice apartment at least. If any of this sounded mildly interesting, these past 10 years of storytelling, you can join today the Patreon and catch yourself up to all the new tales that were not included in this video, and get an advance peek at everything that will be shared coming down the line. It has been a huge honor to be working on this for the past decade of my life, and looking at everything put together, it's quite staggering. I do want to thank my patrons for supporting me and giving me the foundation in which to explore, to continue writing, to make this art, to share with everybody. So thank you, and pizza out.